Now I would like to start the presentation. So the thing is, the topic I have chosen today, this is how can the 5G communication benefit from the cognitive radio technology based on antenna design. So the thing is, let me clear one thing here that what actually we are doing, what my research group is doing currently. So we are developing the antenna which is suitable to offer the cognitive radio technology properties, and particularly we are using these things. We are claiming to use in the 5G communications. So so let me introduce first about the facilities what we have in our college, and so here you can see, so we have all sort of facilities in our college, and to carry out the research in antennas particularly. So this is the building where the lab is situated actually, and this is about the research group. So the area is already told by the organizer. So these are the 7 students currently working with me as a full-time PhD student, and these 4 PhD students already graduated. My research lab is sponsored by the DRDO, ISRO, ACRB, TCube, and my institutions. So coming over the outline of the presentation, so I'll start from the introduction of the 5G, then importance of the MIMO parameters, then isolation techniques, cognitive radio, and then after what we are doing actually in a lab, we'll try to explain here, and then followed by conclusion and references. So the thing is, before doing anything, the thing should be come in our mind that what is the motivation actually, why we want to do the things. So if you can see some of the picture, actually this is the different antennas actually. You can see the four figure, the top figure actually here. This is the wideband sensing antenna, and here you can see this is actually wideband sensing antenna and the reconfigurable filter plus bias T. Here you can see this is a narrowband spectrum sensing antenna, and at last you can see here this is a reconfigurable band rejection antenna. So now here you can see like we try to achieve different properties from the single elements. Actually, like here you can see we are combining filter and antennas. So the thing is like when you are combining antenna and filters for achieving the narrow band application or band stop applications. So the things are quite bulky. Like here you can see in this figure. So we connected a wideband antenna, then after reconfigurable, then BIST. So this is such a complicated thing. So the motivation is here now how we can do the things, the same thing. Like we can accommodate the antenna, filter, and BIST over the same substrate. So it could be utilized for the CR application. Like for the CR application, there are two schemes. One is the underlay, and this is the interweave. So in these two schemes, we require the different kind of antennas actually. So the idea is here that we try to combine all those things, correct? Means different filters, antennas on the same substrate. So this is you can say this is the kind of miniaturization we are doing, and we are trying to accommodate all the things on a the small size, because we right now what we want actually, we want to keep everything in our pocket. Like we all are using the mobile, and like we don't want to that antenna is going to make the problem actually. So the thing is we try to accommodate all the things on the chip. So coming over this things, this picture actually. So here you can see the Internet of Things. So many things is going to perform by this concept actually. And here you can see for the smart home, the smart vehicles, cities, smart school education, and all the things. So basically, we are trying to improve the data rate actually, and the application of IoT to serve these particular things. So now the things, the main backbone is that how we can improve the data rate as well as the spectrum efficiency, so that these applications could be served smartly actually. So the thing is, like coming over other things like 5G. So recently we heard about that 5G is coming, and so many properties is also we're getting. Like one of the common thing is data rate will be very high. So let's try to understand this fact that what are the benefits we are going to get with the 5G, and we'll try to compare with the 4G. This is actually the picture I have taken. This thing you can see, this is a magazine. You can also check over this link. So this is a very nice article. You can check. So here, they what they did actually, they given the 8 parameters here. Over there, they compared 5G over the 4G. So the first is the latency. So the thing is, you can see here for 5G the latency rate is less than 1 millisecond. So what is that actually? The low latency required to the time critical applications, like connected ambulance to transmit the health data, including the video stream and remote diagnosis in the real time. So for that, low latency is required. And if you see the second one, this is the device density. So this high device density is needed actually for the constant data collection and the transmission for the network critical real-time applications such as autonomous driving. Correct. Now the thing is, this data rate, which is around equivalent to 10 Gbps per second. So definitely high data rate is required to enable the digital image processing and the video information. And the thing is, this is one of the important parameters, which is the area traffic capacity, which is in 5G we can expecting this is 10 GB per second per kilometer square. So this high area traffic capacity is needed. Why? Because if within the specific area a huge number of users consume a large amount of data, and thereby the limit of users by the other. So it is important actually the number. The power consumptions, we already aware that this is a low consumption is ecological and the economical importance. Then after coming to the bandwidth, so bandwidth we are expecting this things large bandwidth and which require for the modern applications. Finally, coming over the spectral efficiency, so high like what is this high spectral efficiency? This high spectral efficiency enable the more efficient use of the transmitter sites. Correct. So
Dr.
allow
Dr.
the
Raghavan,
network
Professor Raghavan,
yeah.
really sorry to interrupt you for a second. Actually, sir, the voice is breaking from your connection, sir. Your audio is not clear. The participants are saying this, and on YouTube also as well as Zoom, sir. Please cross check it, sir.
Now this is clear. Now this is clear.
Much better, sir. This is much better. Otherwise, the voice was breaking, sir, in between. I don't think whether it was problem of headphone or anything else. Please, sir,
Okay.
get it checked because it was breaking,
Okay.
sir. Yes.
So now
Please,
now the things are clear.
now it's very clear, sir. Now it's
Now
clear.
it's clear. Okay.
Now you can go ahead. Sorry, sir.
Okay. No issue. So please inform me in between if these things are there actually. So now coming to the reliability actually, so high reliability along with the low latency and the high area traffic capacity is necessary. For example, allow smaller safety distance from the autonomous vehicle actually. So these 8 parameters, so these things, what we have learned here, this is really very important to understand because we should know that what benefits we are going to get from the 5G actually. Now, we have seen the several issues, things, and several posts over the social media that many people are talking about the 5G these things over the health. So the thing is, I suggest you please go to this article. This is written very good actually, and they try to explain the things that here you can see that up to millimeter wave we have the non-ionizing radiation, and this does not damage to your DNA. So we can say that we are safe, but definitely the optimum power level we require. Correct. Whereas beyond the visible light actually, which is X-ray and gamma ray, so these are the ionizing radiation and could damage the radiation. So here there is one thing is clear that this is not going to damage the things, but we require a certain optimum power as well. So let me say about what frequencies actually we are going to use. So the thing is, the 5G is coming into windows. One is a sub 6 gigahertz, another is the millimeter wave. So our research group mainly focus over the sub 6 gigahertz, and we also tried over the millimeter waves as well. So here you can see different countries actually using the different bands, and particularly these bands, if you see, this is 3.4 to 3.8 gigahertz, and in between the applications are we are expecting of 5G and in India also. So let me clear over these things that the 5G, particularly for the sub 6 gigahertz, the millimeter wave. So first, let us talk over the technology involved in the sub 6 gigahertz. So the first is the MIMO, second is the cognitive radio, and third is the massive MIMO in some applications. And here we have certain advantages of sub 6 gigahertz, like travel longer distance, can penetrate through the obstacle, less attenuations, and definitely one of the major thing is the cost, because uh, the infrastructure at sub 6 gigahertz we already have. So the thing is we can just develop the things correct at sub 6 gigahertz. Now after that, the number of elements in the antenna array is also less, correct? Now coming over the millimeter wave, correct? So what are the technology involved actually? So let us try to understand. First is the MIMO, which is a common in both cases. The new thing is here that phased array and the beamforming and SIW. The idea is here that because at the higher frequency, the penetration is actually small. So it requires the phased array and the beamforming, as well as the thing is we have to narrow down the radiation pattern so that we can identify a certain area where we can hold the communication or hold this all the activities sort of activities. So the thing is that SIW on the planar technology is really very advantageous if we are using along with the things for the millimeter 5G. So here these are the some of the advantages I already things. So one of the important thing is low latency is very important actually, and at millimeter wave these things we are getting easily. Now the thing is like which one is the cost effective if I say over this point. So definitely those the participants who are working on the antennas actually they know actually millimeter waves. The infrastructure is means still we are struggling to get the infrastructure, the components, and other things at the millimeter, and the cost is also very high. On the other hand, if we go the sub 6 gigahertz, all the things are available. Even we can fabricate in a lab also. So the thing is the cost is less. So that is why most of the company like you can see actually uh, they are launching this 5G actually with sub 6 gigahertz bands, correct? And there's another reason is that free path loss is also there. So like if you compare with at 30 gigahertz, the path loss is 23 dB more than the path losses 2 gigahertz. So these are the things actually, but it is not like that. The millimeter wave, so many research, even we are also doing the things, and this is for this, other applications as well, correct? So mainly in this presentation, I will focus over the sub 6 gigahertz. Now let's try to understand what are the technologies involved in sub 6 gigahertz, means what we are doing actually in a lab and what actually we are claiming. So here you can see this is the two things. One is a MIMO, another is cognitive radio. So MIMO is what? This is a multiple input, multiple output. Correct. Here you can see a very picture actually. This is a product actually I've taken this website. So here you can see number of elements are very high. Correct. So actually in MIMO we are getting the improved diversity actually. That is why the concept of MIMO actually is very famous nowadays. So here, this is the point we can use the MIMO and we can lose the information. We cannot lose the information actually. Whereas the cognitive radio is not the new concept; it is also very old concept, 1 decade over. And here, this is what this actually offer. This is or this offer actually what this is intelligent spectrum sensing. Correct. It means that wherever the holes, wherever the space is there, the secondary user will communicate. That means the thing is like we divided user in two categories. One is the primary user and the secondary user. So primary users, like when the primary user is not using the spectrum, so secondary user get the chance to use the things. But how you will do, correct? So for that, actually, the cognitive radio concept came into the picture. Now, what actually we are doing? We are combining these two things, MIMO and cognitive radio. Now, if you see the research work done in this area, so particularly you will see that for the different scheme of the cognitive radio, let's say for the interview, they design a different antennas. For underlay, they define the different antenna. I'll explain what is this interview and underlay these things. correct? So now let's understand the importance of MIMO. So here you can see a very nice things picture here. So these are the two antennas, and these are the mobile. You can see mobile and car where they're supposed to you can consider as a user. So when the propagation happens, actually, so what happened actually? There is several building trees and so many things are there. So there's a fading effect and there is a reflected signal. So mainly in practice, this NOLS communication we are expecting non-line of sight communication. So the thing is, it is really very important that the communication should happen between the antenna and the user actually. And if between that building or something is coming, so we are losing the things and we are losing the information. So how to overcome these things? So for that, actually, the diversity property of the MIMO actually came into existence, and we utilize to improve this point actually, so that we are not losing the information. So let us discuss the diversity scheme here. So mainly we can define as a three, which is the time diversity, frequency, and the antenna diversity. So like this time and frequency, the communication people are doing here. Like here, this is our part for the antenna engineers. For the antenna diversity, so how we can perform the diversity actually. So this could be performed with the spatial diversity and the polarization diversity. So like if you're talking about the spatial diversity, so we are increasing the number of antenna at the side of transmitter side as well as at the side of receiver side, correct? And the polarization diversity, like some of the antenna we are using as a horizontally polarized, some of the vertically polarized. Like if you see the structure of your mobile, so you will find the LTE antennas there, and there are two LTE antennas. One is a horizontally polarized and another is vertically polarized, so that we should not lose the information, correct? Now here you can see a real example, correct? I have taken this things this photograph from this white paper. So you can see this difference. Actually, you can check the things, the details also. So this picture actually gives a clear vision here that two antenna actually this is apart from 45 degree. So this provides actually a very clear polarization diversity, correct? Now coming over the different different schemes. So we are already aware the CISO, CMO, MISO, and MIMO. So here you can see if you compare MIMO with CMO, so you will find that we are getting diversity at transmit side and the receiving side, whereas in other schemes we are getting the diversity maybe at the receiving side or transmitting side. In for the line of sight communication, we don't have the diversity, correct? If means that if something is coming in between that, so we're going to lose the signal. Now let's try to understand these things with this small mathematics here. So like for single input, single output. So for if you try to find it out the channel capacity, see the channel capacity here, correct? And here you can see for the practical scenario when you have the non line of sight these things. So here a channel is involved, and we have to calculate the channel capacity with the help of these things. So the thing is, like for example, actually that I try to explain that how diversity actually working. So I taken the CMO, the scheme here. So here you can see this is one antenna, correct? Here this is the two antennas, correct? And in between there are some phase difference, and definitely this is some kept some at the distance, correct? So here you can see this is the two parts path. One is a things marked as a black line, and another is a red line, correct? Now the thing is, what is the outcome of this thing? Like from this antenna, signal is originating. So what happens due to this reflection, multiple reflection, and all the things? Because in the real-time environment, we have a building, trees, and so many items actually. So the things are reflected back, and maybe the thing is not. Maybe the signal is not reaches to the antenna one or two. Correct. Let's say if there is a one antenna, let's say the antenna number one. Correct. So in that case, the information not reaches properly because of these obstacles. Now the thing is, instead of using one antenna at the receiver side, what we did actually, we have using the two antennas. Now the thing is, now we have the two paths, means we have the two channels actually to to get this information. So let's say if you're lucky, let's say I would say this is lucky actually, and if you're getting the things from this path number second actually, and you're getting the information, so it means that you are getting the signal. Maybe at the antenna number 1 you are not getting the information or the signal due to this obstacle, but maybe at antenna number 2, so you are getting the signal. So this is means we can calculate the probability. So increasing the number of elements, so getting of the information is high, correct? So here you can see this the channel capacity if you are trying to calculate. So here you will see the H11 and H21. These are the two channels actually, correct? So these two channels are the part 1 and part 2. Now here these are the formulas actually. I believe those who are working in a communication background, they must know in this thing. So here what is the important point is that for the MIMO actually the channel capacity we can calculate from these formula, and here you can see H11 mod square, H12 mod square, like that. So we have the four antennas, sorry, this things multiple, let's say this is a 2x2 system, so we have the possibility to receive the signal from this four ways actually, correct? Now now the thing is, let us try to understand two more things within the MIMO actually. One is a spatial diversity, another is spatial multiplicity, correct? So here you can see this picture actually. Here this is the data. Let's consider this is 101, and this data is we fed it to the individual antenna. So what will happen? Let's say the one bit is taking the 1 second. So the data rate, if you consider, so it will take total 3 seconds actually. Okay, so to transmit this thing. Whereas the thing is here, if you see this data actually divided in the 3 antennas, and individually we are transmitting the thing. So what this scheme offers? This is a scheme of actually the high data rate, because here the data rate is very fast. This is let's say this is 1 microsecond. So in 1 microsecond this thing is going to transmit. So the thing is, between these two, if you compare, so one offer you the high data rate, another is provide you the spatial diversity, correct? So the thing is, 3 antennas radiating the same information. So maybe at the receiver side, if let's say one antenna, or let's say the MIMO system is there, so there is a chance that we are getting the information. So that is why you can see, like in a 4G, we are not losing the information. Now coming over another example, that how the data rate. So I'll not go in the detail. So let's say we have a data here 0101 like this format, and we have a QPSK modulation, correct? So this is the symbol actually we designated here, correct? Now if this whole thing, let's say we have taken a channel actually which having the bandwidth of 100 megahertz, and let's say we divided in the 10 channels, so each channel having the 10 megahertz this thing. So with these things, if you try to calculate the data rate, so this is 20 bit per 0.01 microsecond, correct? Now the thing is here, this is normal antennas we are using. Now let's say if we are using the 2x2 MIMO, correct? So what will happen? These two symbols at a time is going to transmit, and this two at a time is going to transmit. So it doubles actually the data rate, correct? The other thing is, like, if you ask to the communication person, so they will try to increase, they will try to adopt some different modulation scheme. Definitely one can go for the different modulation scheme, but it may cause the high data error actually, correct? So the thing is, there is an alternative way, like here using the MIMO antennas we can increase the data rate. So what we learned so far, that that MIMO antenna is provide the diversity, and ultimately we are getting the reliability as well as the data rate, correct? So these are things so far we learned. So these are the advantages, these advantages, correct? So I already told so many things. Now coming over the MIMO parameters. So the thing is, when we are designing the MIMO antenna, correct? So there must be some certain parameters we should know, correct? What we supposed to characterize, how we will characterize the MIMO antenna, correct? So here the thing is, you can see that 6 hexagonal this things box is there, correct? I have written the different parameter, like let's just start from the isolation. Isolation is one of the very important property, correct? Because we know there is a number of the antennas that are there in a MIMO system, correct? So definitely they will be talking each other. I mean, among the antenna elements, there will be cross coupling will be there. So we supposed to remove this thing. So for that, actually, isolation is another important thing. Along with this, we have the ECC, this things ECC, which is envelope correlation coefficient. So here, this is the formula actually. So mainly this is calculated from the far field parameter. This is a far field property, you can say. So particularly, this allows the two antenna radiation patterns, let's say one is horizontally polarized, another is vertically polarized. So there will be zero correlation, right? So even the thing is, from the isolation we can also relate these things, correct. Then after diversity, again, if you see, this is connected with the ECC and calculated by this formula, and particularly nearly 10 dB is the acceptable diversity gain, correct, in a literature. And coming to the total active reflection coefficient, this is one of the another parameter, correct, you will characterize. So the thing is, there is a number of elements, as I told you, correct. So the thing is, instead of calculating S11 only, what we are doing, we are taking the all the elements. And if you see here, this A2, A3, and A4, this is the incident and this is the reflected. This is ultimately a reflection coefficient, but we are considering the all the elements actually, correct. Coming over to the channel capacity, so we all know the channel capacity, correct, is very important, and channel capacity loss, we supposed to find it out, correct. So by this definition, one can find it out, the channel capacity, and here the 511, 512, and these things could be related with the S parameter, correct. So if you solve these things, and if you're getting the things 0.4 bits per second per hertz, it means this is in an acceptable range. And finally, mean effective gain, this is again a far field property, correct. And this is actually what? This is mean received power over the total mean incident power, correct. So the thing is, the acceptable range is -3 to -12 dB, correct. So this is the parameter, correct. The MIMO for the MIMO antenna, correct. And we supposed to find it out, correct. For the better performance and all the things, we supposed to analyze these parameters. Now the thing is, in this presentation, I would present some of the work actually done by our research group, correct, my students, correct. So the thing is, basically we worked over the isolation, correct. And to improve the isolation, we use certain techniques. I'll going to explain these things. And then after we incorporated that particular things for the CR technology, correct. Like this presentation, you can say like that, divided in two parts. One is the MIMO actually, another is that how we combine this MIMO with CR actually, correct. So let us very quickly, let's try to understand this isolation, correct. So mainly, if you see in the literature, so you will find the 5 techniques, correct, to improve the isolation. So as I told you that isolation is required, and it should be this thing 15 dB, correct, or no actually. But it is really very good because the elements are not talking each other. So the thing is, this isolation actually done with the help of the filters, correct, band stop filters. Then after FSS, DGS, defected ground structures, correct. Then after antenna placement and orientation, one of the things, correct, and the reflector way. So out of these 5 actually, we tried in a lab these 2: filter based, FSS, and reflector based. So these 2 I'm going to explain with the normal MIMO antenna, and this reflector based we use in CR structure, correct. So this is one of the work actually, correct. This is reconfigurable isolation enhancement using filter based these things. So the thing is, what is the special actually in this work? This is the first work where we improve isolation, correct, as well as we given the opportunity for the user that he can reconfigurable, means this antenna could be used for 2 different bands, correct. So this flexibility we have provided. So this is one of the unique work, I would say actually, correct. So please check this paper. I'm going to discuss some of the important points actually, what actually we did. So here you can see that this is the fabricated structure actually, and this is the pin diode, and this is the filter actually. If you see, this is the filter, correct? So here, what we are claiming actually, the claim is that we have proposed isolation between the antenna elements as well as the frequency reconfigurable by incorporating the pin diodes, correct? So this enhancement we obtained, correct, finally, and the reconfigurability. Now coming over to the structure actually and its operation, correct? So if you see the structure, correct? If you see the structure, so you will find this is a 4 antenna, and this is vendor line, you can see, correct, radiating elements, correct. And now if we arrange actually in this way so that we can get sufficient isolation initially. But the thing is, when we have seen its MIMO performance, actually we found it's very poor. So you can see also that S11 is perfect, no issue, where this is an acceptable range. But at the same time, actually, the isolation, you can see this is roaming around -8 on these things. Correct. This is not a good thing actually. Correct. So this is at 2.4. Now what we did, and after that, what we did actually, we removed this vendor line, and we have seen here that the same thing actually is operating at 5.3 or 5.4 gigahertz. Correct. So it means that removing this vendor line, it offers me a flexibility. I can go for the 5.4 gigahertz. Correct. Now coming over the surface current distribution, so what information we can collect? Try to understand this fact that from the surface current we can see here that these antennas are talking to each other. Correct. So these things we don't want actually. Correct. Now the thing is how to remove these things, how to improve the isolation, correct? How to remove this surface current. So what we proposed this filter actually, correct? A decoupling network, you can see also, correct? So here you can see this is the proposed design. This is also based on the Mendel line and virtual ground here, correct? This pad actually, if you see, this is actually the virtual ground. Now here, if you see the S parameters here, if you see, so here you can find this is a band stop filter, correct? At 2.4 gigahertz. Similarly, like if you see this structure, correct, what we did actually, we removed some of the electrical length here, and this is now operating at 5.3 or 5.4 gigahertz. So the thing is, I'm providing the flexibility to user here that changing the electrical length, I can switch the thing, and this is the very basic fundamental in microwave engineering. We all aware actually. Those who are working in an antenna, they know this thing, but we just smartly utilize this concept here to solve the purpose, correct? Now the thing is, after that, what we did, we incorporated this decoupling network in between the two antennas, and what we found, we got a very good result. And if you see this S1, S31, S21, and S41, this is coming around -20 dB, and this is really very good, and we can utilize this thing. And similarly, the thing is, like if this decoupling, this second decoupling network if you use, so this could be operated at 5.3 gigahertz. Now the thing is, like what I want to try to explain this thing, that the true frequencies I'm trying to accommodate a similar kind of structure. Now with the help of some of the active elements, I'll try to combine these two things within a same size of substrate, correct? So here you can see when we are introducing the decoupling network, so you can see the surface currents, you can see the red portion actually. This is, as compared to the first figure, is less actually. So we can say, means with this actually we can explain, okay, that is fine, and we are getting the less isolation, correct? Similarly here also you can see when we are introducing the decoupling network, so we have the less isolation, correct? So what we did actually after that, so what I told you, that that two kind of structures actually, basically the same structures, and the same structures, but the thing is how we will accommodate on the safe substrate. So this is just a game of the changing the electrical length. So what we did actually, if you see here, the yellow and this black box, this is the pin diode actually we use. And by the property of this pin diode, we can often off at the microwave frequency. So it means that we can select the electrical length as per our need, correct? So now you can see in the fabricated structure, we also incorporated this pin diode. Now the thing is, by switch on or switch off, we can change the electrical length, and in this way, this same antenna on the same size could be operated at 2.4 as well as 5.3 gigahertz. So this reconfigurability, as well as from the decoupling network, we got the isolation. So this is one of the extra advantage we got, this frequency, reconfigurable system. Correct. These are the measurement results. Correct. I'll not go in a detail actually. Correct. So now another thing is like we have we another work we performed on the isolation on the filter base. So here you can see this is in between that we have a decoupling network. Correct. So these are the monopole antenna, and in between that we design at the same these things the decoupling, and in this way we improve the isolation. Correct. Similarly, one of the work actually we attempted actually, and with the help of frequency selective surface, correct, we try to improve actually the isolation. But the thing is, what we have seen, we propose actually two FSS here, correct. So this modified FSS provides this provide a very excellent result, and using of these FSS, we are not actually altering the radiation pattern, gain, and other things, correct. So the thing is, the main idea is that how to improve the isolation. So with this FSS, because we want to stop some of the surface current, so we implant such a way that those surface current we try to remove actually, correct. And in this way we improved the isolation. So this work actually we published in IEEE Transactions, correct. You can see in this paper actually for the complete detail, correct. Now the thing is, this is design methodology, what I told you. So these all the things are this thing. So I'll not read actually this thing. So all the things meanwhile I'm talking on these things, correct. So now coming over the cognitive radio, correct. So the thing is like whatever let me try to summarize all the things. So what I told you so far, that MIMO antenna, correct, its advantage and how the things are going to benefited from these things actually, correct. So data rate and all the thing, and particularly in real time we are using the 4G, and the 4G is using the MIMO technology, correct. Now what actually our claim, correct, I'm going to explain, which is cognitive radio, correct, and how we develop the antenna for these applications, correct. So now we have now I believe we have a sufficient background to understand these things, correct. So let us understand the radio cognitive radio cycle, correct. So there is a four thing. One is observe, then decide, then act, and learn, correct. It means what, that we are supposed to observe that, like we divided the user in a two categories. One is a primary, another is a secondary user. So we need to identify where is the empty bands are there, correct, or white space, mainly white space, we are the correct white space are there, and we try to identify. Then after we are deciding by the deciding the things that how the things will be communicated, correct. So this will be done through the band notch antenna, or these things tunable antenna. Then after we have to act, correct. And finally this whole thing we supposed to learn, and this cycle will keep going on, correct. So the thing is, with this four circles, I'm trying to solve here the observe and decide. This acts and learn is, if you see, this is done by the most of the communication people actually, and because this is the kind of interdisciplinary work where the antenna person and the communication will meet together, correct. So let us try to understand the cognitive radio, correct. So here we decided we shown here in, these things in a two categories. One is a spectrum interweave, another is a spectrum underlay, correct. So what is that actually, correct. So here you can see this different colors. You can see the primary user, secondary user, and all the things. So the idea is that when we have the gap actually, correct, when the primary user is not using the band actually, so actually we have the opportunity that we can utilize this band, and this could be utilized from the secondary used by the secondary user. In this way we can improve the spectral efficiency actually, correct. Spectrum efficiency, sorry, we can improve the spectrum efficiency, correct. And here if you see the spectrum underlay, so here we define this. If you see the red line, dotted red line, so here this is the allowed interference level. It means what actually, above this primary user will be working, and below this actually the secondary user can work actually, correct. But if the secondary user crossing this limit actually, this interference level, so it is stop working, and primary user again coming and working over the thing. So here the idea is that at the same time the whole spectrum used by the primary and the secondary user, but in the spectrum interweave, when we have the whole, then we can utilize this thing. Now the thing is like that from the communication point of view, if you see that definitely we can develop some algorithm and we can use, but the thing is on the hardware from the antenna side, can we do some of the things so it can provide some ease to the communication engineer so that it gets used in a real-time application, correct? So that is actually we try to explain here that how we accommodated these things. Means when I say these things, it means that how we accommodated the interweave and as well as the underlay on a same substrate. Like so far in a literature, actually, you did not find this concept that the underlay and interweave actually accommodated on the same substrate. So this is one of the unique actually work, I would say. And the thing is, like this is the slide actually uh, uh, explaining here the cognitive radio front end, correct? So as I told you, this is two scheme. One is the interweave, another is the underlay, correct? So what are the requirements? The requirement for the interweave is the wideband sensing antenna, another is a narrow band sensing antenna, correct? For the underlay, this is a wideband sensing antenna and band notch sensing antenna, correct? So the thing is, wideband or ultra wideband antenna is a sensing antenna we are using. The sensing antenna scan the required frequency range and identify the spectrum which are not used by the license of the primary user, correct? So for that you require the wideband sensing antenna. Now coming over the narrowband sensing, what this written actually. So the narrowband frequency tunable antenna is a communicating antenna, correct? Using communicating antenna, secondary or unlicensed user communicate over these spectrum hole or the white space. Correct? Now if coming over the underlay, again there's a need of the wideband sensing because we require to sense the whole band. So here let us try to understand this band notch sensing, correct? So this wideband narrowband frequency tunable band notch antenna we are using as a communicating antenna, correct? So the secondary or we can say unlicensed user communicate using these communicating antenna, correct? At whatever frequency the secondary user are creating interference to the primary user, or prime or secondary user transmit power level passes to the reference level set by the primary user, then stop working, correct? So these are the things actually. Now this need actually we try to accommodate in the antennas, correct? So this is actually one of the work, correct? What I'm talking about. This is 4-port MIMO cognitive radio system for mid-band 5G application. Recently, actually, just a few months back, we published this work actually, correct, in IEEE transactions, correct. So here, what are the design considerations? Here we require the MIMO, then frequency, then the 4x4 system because for 5G application, at least 4x4 system is needed. Then isolation, we try to keep it below 15 dB and the spectrum sharing between. Now the thing is, as per the requirement, I told these things. So we need first a wideband antenna. So what we did actually, because we have sufficient expertise in our lab that we already working on a wideband antenna and different kind of antennas. So we developed this wideband antenna here, and you can see this is a pretty good bandwidth. If you see, this is from the 2.8 to around 5.5 gigahertz. So this is 2.5 to 5.8. This is written here, correct? So this bandwidth actually is pretty large, and we can cover the 5G application at particularly sub 6 gigahertz. Now the thing is, as the requirement is a 4x4 or the 5G actually, so we place like this, correct? Now, while placing these things, we try to find it out its S parameter, and the thing is, this S1 is really very good, correct? Correct. But at the same time, the mutual coupling among this antenna parameter is not actually good. You can see these numbers are not good and not acceptable. So I would say this is a poor isolation. Now, what I did actually from the previous expertise, what we did actually, we try to find it out that how we can improve the isolation. So here, what we did actually, we opted the reflector based this thing because we don't want to make the system complex, because when we are using the decoupling network or the filter based thing, so again we supposed to make it reconfigurable, and for that some active elements are required, correct? So better here we use the reflector type of this thing, and but we found it out that once we accommodated here, so the isolation is really very good. And from this surface current, you can also examine this thing that the second antenna is not talking to the first antenna, correct? So like the first thing is solved, that wideband antenna we have, and we configured it the MIMO, correct? Now the thing is the other requirement. What are the other requirements? The other requirements are like how to get the tunable band pass filter, band stop filter, and the all pass filter. Right. So these three filters we require. Now the thing is, if you remember, I showed you a picture in the initial slide where the different components, antenna, filter, and bias T actually accommodated, and this actually offer sometimes mismatch and all the things because we are going to connect. Right? So the thing is, we try to accommodate all the things over the same substrate. So the thing is, like we opted here the split resonator, one of the well-known structure actually, and this offered the very good quality factor. Correct. So we utilize these things and we try to find it out that definitely we are getting the bandpass nature of this structure. Correct. Now the thing is, what we did, we placed a vector diode in between these two these things, correct? And we provide a biasing actually from 0 to 8, and what we found, we can tune the things accordingly, but as per the requirement and the applications, correct? So one thing is clear that I got that tunable bandpass response, correct? Now the thing is, like if you see this structure actually, so this vector diode is still there, but what we did actually, we placed here the pin diode, the 4 pin diode, correct? So what actually it provide us? So this is switchable all pass to band pass filter, correct? Here if you see, if you off all the switches, correct? If you off all switches S1, S2, S3, S4, correct? So definitely you are getting the tunable band pass kind of nature, correct? But if all the switches are on, so you're getting the all pass response, correct? So this is one of the freedom we are getting, that that we have a very good wideband spectrum here. Okay, so now coming over the multifunctional filter and its electrical circuit, correct? So what we did here, we attach an extra pin diode, and definitely we have to all this blocking capacitor and all we have to use, correct? Now here we can see what we did actually from the all pass to band stop, correct? And band pass to band stop, correct? So here you can see that when all the switches are off, so definitely the first response, correct? When all these things is off, the things, so we are getting an all pass response. Whereas when the situation is like that, the S1 on, S2 off, S3 off, and this thing, so we can tune, and this is S21, correct? This is S21. So this is what, this is band reject filter, correct? And this is what, this is all pass filter to band pass filter, correct? So within a single unit cell, correct? We try to achieve the multi-functional filter, correct? Okay. So now what we did actually, so instead of making making it on a different substrate, what we did, we try to match the circuit and we try to incorporate all the things in a signal patch, means the match is feed line, correct? We incorporated all the things in a feed line, correct? So you can see there's 4 antennas are there, and here the 4 multifunctional filters are there, correct? And these are the biasing, and we're supposed to bias it, correct? So here the thing is here you can see this thing. These are the final result, I would say, correct? So this is a wideband antenna, sensing antenna, which will be used as a sensing antenna, correct? So this is one of the primary requirement that we are supposed to find it from the sensing antenna. The second is that interview communicating antenna, correct? So here you can see by changing the bias voltage actually, so we can tune the response, correct? So here the tunable antenna for interview cognitive radio communication we can utilize, correct? And at the same time, correct, the underlays they are communicating antenna, you can see here that on the different biasing scheme, like this is the table actually, what actually I explained in the previous slide. I tried to sum up all the things here, correct? So here you can see for the case 3, correct? So these are the switching conditions actually, and here you can see this is the S11. So when you are keep changing the bias voltage, so this responses keep changing. So in this way, that band reject response we are getting, and in this way, when the interference level is high, so we are trying to find the location over the same place where the white white spectrum is there, correct? Hole is there, and due to this biasing, actually we try to match that location, and in this way the secondary user stop working, correct, and the primary user start operating at that thing, correct. So this is fabricated structure, you can see, correct. So the soldering and all the things are really very uh, risky job actually, because if you short any of the things, so you are going to lose property of the multi-purpose filter, correct. This is the bicycle, and you can so many wires actually. So here we are trying to keep how to make it simple for the simplest this things further actually, correct. And this is the overall circuit actually, correct. We analyze over the ADS as well. Now after that we measured, and what we found, the measurement was pretty acceptable, but the thing is some problem, like in particularly band reject filter response, there is a problem, because the thing is like we are using the number of pin diode, vector diode, and it creates actually interfering in the response with the antenna, and definitely this is going to degrade, right. So the thing is, we need to find that switching application, like particularly this is electronically we are making the switching conditions, correct. But the thing is, anyhow we have to perform these things, correct. These are the antenna parameters. We calculated all the things, efficiency, S11, ECC, and these are all within the limit I told you in a MIMO parameters, correct. And one of the reason actually, if you see from the radiation pattern as well, if you extracted one by one from antenna 1 to 4, so you will see this is the radiation pattern keep rotating. So this will also provide a very good diversity, so that is why we are getting a good isolation as well. So in this way, what I can conclude actually is that we develop a tunable range interview communicating antenna, just 2.8 to 3.65. Now the point is that the tunability is 2.8 to 3.6, whereas for underlay the tunability is 2.15 to 3. Now what actually we are doing here, that we are managing it in a wide range actually, so that we can cover over the spectrum, correct. Isolation is 15 dB, correct. This is ECC is less than 0.5 actually in the reason, correct. Gain is 1.5. We supposed to increase this gain, correct. And similarly, then after recently, actually, I think month of December 2019, correct. We also actually published one of the work in the same line. So the thing is, one of the things, if you see in this antenna, that the size is very big actually. The size is 120 cross 100 mm square. This is really big. So the thing is like our group is actually working on the metamaterial as well. So we thought that we'll utilize the metamaterial, but the thing is the performance is going to degrade. So we did not use. So we try to find out what are the alternative things are there. So the other possible thing, you can see this is the engineering actually. I would say that we try to accommodate it such a way this antenna on the substrate, so it requires the less size, correct. So this is actually the design here you can see, and in this way the same performance, almost same performance, but wider tunability we got, but at the same time we're getting 48.3% utilization as compared to a previous transaction paper, correct. So these two papers are unique paper, correct, and recently we are working over these things, correct. These are the references actually, correct. I would like to acknowledge my students, those who are working over these things. One is T. Srinath Reddy, correct. He's a PhD student, correct, currently PhD student, and one of my registered MTech student, Tanvir Alam. They did actually very good work in MIMO cognitive radio. So with this, I would like to end the presentation, and thank you so much for listening.